what the World Bank has now termed multidimensional poverty. However, Emmanuel Okafor, an Abuja-based businessman, is particularly concerned about the state of security in the country.
General security, the rate of kidnapping has gone up. And I'm not saying this because I hate government or I hate Tinubu. I mean, I don't know him. I don't have anything against him. But the rate of kidnapping has gone up. The rates of bandits, banditry, cattle rearers, herdsmen, terrorism, because that's essentially what it is, has gone up.
These final year law students, Saliu Adamu, however, sees the Tinubu government in a different light altogether.
Considering the situation the president inherited from the immediate past government, I can say Tinubu actually did what he could.
For these respondents, the government should not take the blame for the state of the nation all alone.
Even in marriage, 2 years it's not enough to assess someone. So we'll keep on hoping. Will I say the president is the main issue, or will I say it's commoners? If we're able to solve our own personal issues as human we are, and if the leaders see the example in us, I believe they will make a change.
With 2 more years to go in President Bola Tinubu's current tenure, what should the government do differently? Again, Emmanuel Okafor proffers a piece of advice.
Above the economy that we talk about, the security that we talk about, let's have an electoral system and an electoral process that gives the people what they actually voted for.
Nigerians have taken out time to air their opinions in terms of how they evaluate the government of President Bola Tinubu the last 2 years. However, some of them have been apt enough to also recommend some things that can be done differently going into the next 2 years of the lifetime of this administration. However, it turns out going forward, one thing is certain: Nigerians have their eye out on this government to see what impact it will make across critical sectors of national development. Uyi Agmofwegbe reporting for Global Television News. In a related development, the United Kingdom chapter of the All Progressives Congress APC has formally endorsed President Bola Tinubu for a second term in office, citing his administration's reforms and developmental strides. The endorsement, which coincides with the second anniversary of the president's administration, was announced during a general meeting of the APC UK chapter held in London. The group also disclosed plans to hold a mega rally later this year to celebrate the president and mobilize support among the Nigerian diaspora. In a memo jointly signed by the chapter's secretary, Chief Momo Obaro, and Chairman Tunde Doherty, the group praised Tinubu's leadership, describing it as, quote, visionary, unquote, and impactful. The letter of endorsement was addressed to the president through APC National Chairman, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, and was delivered to the party's National Secretary, Senator Ajibola Bashiru, during his recent visits to the United Kingdom. Let's turn to other stories for you now. Suspended River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has called on the people of the state to set aside past political differences and unite in rebuilding a stronger, more prosperous River State. He made this appeal in a statement to commemorate the second anniversary of his administration, acknowledging that political challenges had at times slowed the pace of development. Fubara also highlighted notable achievements in key sectors, including healthcare, education, infrastructure, youth employment, human capital development, and the inclusion of women in governance. The chairman of Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, Musa Aliyu, has called for a structured joint document with the Niger Delta Development Commission through an agreement. This was contained in a statement issued in Port Harcourt, River State Capital, by NDDC Director of Corporate Affairs, Seledi Thompson Wakama. Memorandum of Understanding to establish operational standards, strengthened accountability, and check corruption in the Commission. The federal government has introduced specialized higher national diploma HND programs in artificial intelligence AI. The Executive Secretary of the National Board for Technical Education, NBTE, Professor Idris Bugaje, disclosed this in an interview in Abuja.
Bugaje said other newly introduced degree programs include cybersecurity, software engineering, and networking. Senators have linked the current upsurge in banditry and Boko Haram activities to the 2027 elections. Speaking during discussions on a motion of urgent importance on the many cases of Boko Haram and armed banditry, sponsored by Senator Shoaibu Issa Lau PDP Taraba North, both Senators Sunday Karimi APC Kogi West and Danjuma Goje APC Gombe Central urged the federal government to look deeper into cases of Boko Haram and the 2027 elections, saying a similar trend trailed the 2015 elections. Meanwhile, the Nigerian senators approved the 2025 statutory appropriation bill for the Federal Capital Territory FCT at its third reading, endorsing a total expenditure of 1.814 trillion naira. Ramsey Enoch Agbo has details. We'll bring you those details later. In another development, the Nigerian Senate has passed the Rivers State 2025 budget for a second reading. The budget, totaling approximately 1.48 trillion naira, was presented by the Senate leader and chairman of the Joint National Assembly Adore Committee overseeing the emergency rule in Rivers State, Senator Okpebhemi Bamidele. Again, Ramsey Noah Agbo has more.
This bill was presented following the adoption of a harmonized report jointly prepared by the Senate and House Committee on the FCT, led by Senator Ibrahim Bomai and Honorable Mukhtar Betara Aliu, respectively. First introduced on May 14, 2025, the budget underwent a thorough clause-by-clause scrutiny by being swiftly passed.
This budget is specifically for the emergency rule, Government of Rivers State, aimed at providing essential services such as 1. Infrastructure development, over 324 billion naira allocated for road projects and public transportation upgrades.
Senator Tahir Munkuno commended the budget framework as exemplary and encouraged other levels of government to adopt similar approaches, while Senator Jim Carter highlighted its inclusive nature.
From the brief submission of the leader of the Senate, it's clear that this document before us is something that a lot of effort has been put into it to ensure that the people of Rivers State can continue to feel the presence of governance in the state.
President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, emphasized the critical importance of sound planning in the budget process.
120 billion, 809 million, 305,000 naira, 904 naira only is for debt services. The sum of 287 billion, 376 million, 727,373 naira only is for recurrent non-debt expenditure, while the sum of 1,770 billion, 250 million, 859,164 naira only is for capital expenditure for the year ending 31st day of December 2025 and for related matters second reading taken. The bill is now committed to the Special Ad Hoc Committee to supervise the activities of the interim administrator of Rivers State and to revert to the Senate in 2 weeks.
During the plenary section, senators praised the budget's strong focus on capital expenditure, with over 72% allocated to infrastructural development. Ramsey Enoch Agbo reporting for Global TV News.
Well, thank you so very much, Ramsey, for your reporting. With the official birth of the opposition coalition spearheaded by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar,
there are permutations over how the movement would transform into a force within the next 1 year. The coalition came to limelight at a time when Nigeria is experiencing a gale of defections to the All Progressives Congress APC as part of efforts to ensure Tinubu returns to power in 2027. Amid the defections, the coalition has been able to pull together bigwigs like Atiku Peter Obi of the Labour Party, former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babachir Lawal, former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai, former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, among others. This is Global Television. You're watching the live broadcasts of News Cycle with Uyi Agmofwebe. When the rest of the news returns shortly, federal government moves to drive global competitiveness. We'll have those details coming your way, plus business and sports stories. Thank you for staying with us. The remaining parts of this news broadcast returns now with business, where President Bola Tinubu has established the National Credit Guarantee Company Limited and approved the appointment of its board and management team. The disclosure was contained in a statement released by the presidency. As part of the rollout, Tinubu appointed former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara, as chairman of the board, while Mr. Bonaventure Okaimo will serve as the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer. The new institution, backed by an initial capital of 100 billion naira, is designed to de-risk lending and expand access to finance for micro, small, and medium enterprise, small corporates, manufacturers, consumers, and large businesses across the country. The Nigerian Export Promotion Council, NEPC, says it is working to boost the country's competitiveness in the global markets. Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Council, Noni Ayeni, made this known in a press briefing held in Abuja. Business correspondent Queen Agaba was there for Global Television.
The Nigerian government says it is taking steps to improve the country's export sector with a focus on ensuring that products meet international standards. The Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer, Nigerian Export Promotion Council, Nonye Ayeni, says the agency is working with exporters to improve their products and marketing strategies while emphasizing the importance of branding and marketing strategies for Nigerian products. She encouraged exporters to embrace online platforms to reach wider audience, particularly with the rise of digital marketing.
49 years of the establishment of NEPC, Nigeria recorded the highest value of non-oil exports to the tune of 5.4 billion US dollars in 2024. That was a 20.77 increase year on year. That's comparing 2024 to 2023. That's the highest. We've done quite a lot. Our ESAC is there. We've already started teaching. We had the first batch, 50 of them. We were taught, we in partnership with Leluc, on teaching youth and women on how to make bags. The first set have graduated. We are now expanding it to be able to do clothes like what she's wearing. We're going to do that, and we're going to connect other value chain players in that. So there are so many things.
The head of Department Product Development, Mrs. Beverly Odike, says the department is conducting export market awareness assessments to ensure that products meet specific requirements. This includes laboratory analysis to detect any chemical or pesticides residuals that may be present in the products.
What we have done recently, yes, Nigerian Export Promotion Council under the Product Development Department has been pushing and working to ensure that Nigerian non-oil exports conform with the sanitary and phytosanitary requirements to ensure that we reduce the number of products that are rejected across the border. So under the Product Development Department, we have organized series of hands-on packaging, labeling, and branding sessions. With this, Nigeria products will not be rejected in international markets.
Nigeria's export sector is poised for growth, with the government working to enhance the country's competitiveness in the global market. For Global Television, Queen Agaba reporting.
Queen Agaba, thank you very much for your reporting. The commander of the Operation Delta Safe, Rear Admiral Neil Magudu, says the number of sea robbery piracy cases in the country's waterways and the Gulf of Guinea are at their lowest levels. The commander, who was represented by the Maritime Component Commander, Commander Patrick Meteke, stated this while playing host to the defense correspondents during a media tour to the Operation Niger Delta Safe headquarters in Bayelsa State. Our defense correspondent, Kikeloma Okere, will bring you those details in the course of our primetime news. Still talking business, Nigeria has relinquished its long-held position as Africa's largest importer of refined petroleum products following the ramp-up of operations at the Dangote Petrochemical Refinery. New data from specialist consulting company for the African downstream energy market, CETAC, says South Africa has now overtaken Nigeria as the continent's largest fuel importer, a development that signals a significant shift in Africa's downstream oil markets. United States federal court has blocked President Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs in a major blow to a key component of his economic policies. The courts of international trade ruled that an emergency law invoked by the White House did not give the president unilateral authority to impose tariffs on nearly every country. The Manhattan-based court said the U.S. Constitution gives Congress exclusive powers to regulate commerce with other nations, and this was not superseded by the president's remit to safeguard the economy. And now let's turn to stories on the foreign scene. President Donald Trump's administration has vowed to aggressively revoke visas of Chinese students, one of the largest sources of revenue for American universities, in its latest broadside against U.S. higher education. The announcement by Secretary of State Marco Rubio marked a show of defiance after China criticized its decision the day earlier to suspend visa appointments for students worldwide, at least temporarily. Israeli ministers say 22 new Jewish settlements have been approved in the occupied West Bank, which recalls the biggest expansion in decades. Defense Minister Israel Katz and Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich said several already exist as outposts built without government authorization, but will now be made legal under Israeli law. And in sports, athletes from Kogi State have protested over the non-payment of their allowance by the state's Ministry of Sports under the leadership of Monday Ayembe. The aggrieved protesters were seen carrying placards with various inscriptions ranging from Kogi State Commissioner is not a credible man, Commissioner must go, Kogi State sports officials are 911 scam, among others. They called for the immediate removal of the State Commissioner for Youth and Sports Development, Monday Ayembe. Ogun State government has described the protest, which was staged by athletes representing the state as the 22nd National Sports Festival, as an act of impatience, saying the government had concluded plans to settle their allowances. Some of the athletes representing the whole state had expressed their displeasure over unpaid allowances at the Games Village in Babcock University, Election Remo, blocking the gates of the facility and leaving other participants stranded for hours. Let's take sports beyond Nigeria now. Bayern Munich have signed German international defender Jonathan Tah on a free transfer from Bayer Leverkusen. The 29-year-old has signed a 4-year deal which will keep him in Munich until 2029. Tah had spent a decade at Leverkusen, winning an unbeaten league and cup double in 2023-2024. He told Leverkusen he would not be extending his contract beyond 2025 and was given a big farewell at his last home game in May. Quite a brilliant turning point in that career there. And that's a full cycle on the news here. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using @Global TV NG, as well as other handles now showing on your screen. We'd like to urge you to download the Global TV Nigeria mobile app from across Android and iOS platforms to keep track of our 247 broadcast. I am Uyag Mofwebe, thanking you specially for watching. I will see you again.